De Soto expedition in 1540 consisted of Hernando de Soto and his expedition entering present Monroe County following an Indian trail from Budahatchee River. They crossed the Tombigbee River a quarter-mile east December 16th, 1540, and marched up what is now this street right here in Aberdeen, Mississippi. Let's go. Good afternoon, good people. This is P9 coming at you guys with another vlog, and I am here in the city of Aberdeen, Mississippi, located in Monroe County, and I'm about to take a walk through the downtown area and get some vibes and history, all that good jazz. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, Aberdeen is a city, once again, located in Monroe County, Mississippi, and it has a population of 4,961, which is down 5,600 from 5,612, which was in the 2010 census. So there was a 11.6% decrease in population here in Aberdeen. But yet the city still, showers out lots of history. And this building right here kind of gives you New Orleans vibes. It has the ironclad balcony, the wrought iron balcony, and the green bricks with the orange accents. So that's how we're going to start our vlog off, right here in Aberdeen. Now, Aberdeen was chartered as a town in 1837, and in 1849 it replaced Athens, which is now an unincorporated part of Monroe County, but Athens was the original county seat of Monroe County. But in 1849, the seat moved from Athens over here to Aberdeen, and has been the seat ever since. And Aberdeen is also known as being the place where Hiram Revels, the first black U.S. senator, took his last breath here in 1901 while attending a church conference. So that's just some little tidbits of information pertaining to Aberdeen. So between the 1960s and the 1980s is when Aberdeen peaked in population. I mean, it's a little less than 5,000, so it's still not too small. I mean, it's small enough, but it still has somewhat of a population to at least keep the economy going up a little bit, to keep some of the businesses running. So that's really good to know. Enough of a population to have a voting base and all that good stuff. So let's go over here, shall we? This looks like an old garage window tinting structure right here. And here goes the mural. Greetings from Aberdeen, Mississippi. This was done by Patty Swan, 2020. Shows the Elkin Theater, the bridge over the Aberdeen Lake or the Tombigbee River, City of Aberdeen Water Tower, Monroe County Courthouse, or the Chancery Building right there. It's the actual courthouse right here and the city clock tower, or the city clock, Aberdeen, Mississippi. Really nice mural again by Patty Swan. So, first glance of some artwork here in Aberdeen. Check out that Mustang right there. Drop top Mustang. So further down this street, there's actually a feed mill for the local farmers. About to walk further down Commerce Street, which is the main drag through downtown Aberdeen. But before we do that, we're gonna go over here to this mural. By JHW Studio. JHW Studio also did this nice mural. He did a lot of murals in Amory. And this has this mural right here. And it's of the Clover brand fertilizer co-op. As you can see right here, nice artwork done again by JHW Studio. It just illustrates the farm culture and the Clover brand fertilizer used in farming. Definite feeds for definite needs. Maddox mixed feeds. JHW Studio of Becker, Mississippi, 2004. So I guess that's when this mural was put together. And it goes like an old warehouse at an old like garage type situation over there further down this road. Now we're gonna see if Aberdeen, it has any type of modern structures or modern like parks and things of that nature like Amory does, you know. Edward Jones Investments. You have Stevens Auction Company across the street, selling the South's finest antiques is its slogan. So a few gift shops and boutiques and things like that across the street. There's also on they have a bank right here. Emporium. Variety thrift shop. Ruth's Warehouse, floral and gifts. Got the motorcycle right there. That's really dope. Indian motorcycle at that. Check that out. Indian motorcycle. 1901. Really nice. Flores collections. So a lot of antique shops. Excuse me. You have some African art right here. Some African artwork carved out of wood. So it's really nice. Land Hardware across the street over there. Land Hardware. It looks like a couple of abandoned storefronts at the end of this particular building. Pierce's Place. Here goes our first historical marker right here. Talks about Aberdeen, Mississippi blues. And in the 1940s, singer, guitarist Booker White, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, who lived in Aberdeen during the 1920s and 30s, recorded the blues classic Aberdeen, Mississippi Blues. 23 years later, the song's title enabled blues researchers to relocate White, who subsequently resumed his recording career. According to Social Security records, two of the most influential blues artists of all time, Chester Arthur, Howlin' Wolf, Burnett, and Albert King, claimed Aberdeen as their birthplace. So during those times, there was a lot of confusion in regards to where these musicians were born. You know, records were hard to keep up with during that time. A lot of times they don't really have any records of some of these individuals. And some they do, but here goes Howlin' Wolf right here. As you can see, this painting is by, I believe it's Kristen Craven Barnard, if I'm not mistaken. That's her name right there. It's a really nice mural, really nice painting Kristen did right here of Howlin' Wolf. And Howlin' Wolf's famous songs, Little Red Rooster, Wang Dang Doodle, Smokestack Lightning. Mr. Howlin' Wolf right there. And there goes Booker White right here. Booker White, who was part of the folk revival of the 60s. That's him right there. So a painting of him strumming his guitar. And it's titled Aberdeen, Mississippi Blues. And this one is of Albert King. Albert King also strumming his guitar. And he was responsible for the songs Velvet Bulldozer, I'll Play the Blues for You, and Born Under a Bad Sign. Very interesting information right here. And you know, Aberdeen, Mississippi Blues was one of the many powerful and original blues songs recorded by Booker White at his historic Chicago session in March 1940. White's career might have ended had not his music inspired new interest during the folk blues boom of the 60s. Relying on White's recording for a possible address, guitarist and researcher John Fahey sent a postcard to Booker White, old blues singer, and general delivery to Aberdeen, Mississippi. And this card was forwarded to White, who was living in Memphis. He was soon recording again and was hailed as one of the finest performers among the older bluesmen whose careers were revived in the 60s. So he was born near Houston, but he spent many of his early years performing and farming in Chickasaw, Monroe, and Tallahatchie counties right here in Mississippi. And he was rambling in and about the Aberdeen area. So even here in Aberdeen, you know, the blues circuit was real big. Chester Arthur Burnett, aka Howlin' Wolf, also has his roots here in Aberdeen. And this is often disputed, but he was often said to be born in Aberdeen in 1910. Although biographies later cited his birthplace as White Station in Clay County, where he is listed in the 1920 census. And it goes back to what I said earlier, you know, there was a lot of confusion and discrepancies and a lot of birth records and where people might have been born, their birth years and all that. And Albert King, who was also billed as the king of the blues guitar, was a hero amongst blues and rock musicians and audiences. And in his earlier years, documentation is vague, and King, known in his youth as Albert Nelson, later added to the confusion by claiming B.B. King as his brother, which was later denied by B.B. himself, and further citing B.B.'s hometown of Indianola as his own. However, on his Social Security application in 1942, his birthplace was entered as Aberdeen, Mississippi, likely based on his pronunciation of Aberdeen. And his mother, Mary's surname, was variously cited as Blevins, Thomas, and Gilmore. King was raised primarily in Arkansas and later resided in Lovejoy, Illinois. So yeah, that was common because the pronunciations, you know, a lot of, you know, they had this southern drawl, of course, you know, so the pronunciation sounded off, and it would sound one way and be spelled, so they'll spell it the way it was sounded based on the accents. But yeah, there goes Booker White. His quote, "Aberdeen is my home, but the men's don't want me around. They know I will take these women and take them out of town. That was from his song Aberdeen, Mississippi Blues. And that's him right there. Photo courtesy of Steve Levere. That's Booker White, his album Parchment Farm, and that's him right there performing at a live venue. And Parchment Farm was his LP was actually inducted into the Blues Hall of Fame in 1992 in the classic blues recording category. Howlin' Wolf's recordings of Smokestack Lighting, also for in How Many Years, Killing Floor, and Spoonful, also among others, not only inspired countless blues musicians, but also influenced the course of rock and roll. So blues did have a heavy influence on rock and roll. It definitely influenced the genre. So as you can see right here, this photo by Sandy Guy Schoenfeld shows Howlin' Wolf, you know, playing with a lot of emotion and a lot of soul. And there goes his album right there, his LP. And there goes Albert King, king of the blues guitar. And that's him right there, as he holds his guitar and smiling and playing. Pluto Mary Catherine Alden. So acclaimed for his left-handed string blending guitar technique and soulful, smoky vocal delivery, Albert King popularized and epitomized the term blues power in the late 1960s. Among King's most influential recordings were I'll Play the Blues for You, Born Under a Bad Sign, and Crosscut Saw. And here goes blues singer Foree Superstar Montgomery, who performed at Teresa's Lounge and other Chicago's venues, and he hails from Aberdeen. And his younger brother, singer, guitarist Fernando Jones, became a leading blues educator in Chicago. And it goes Mr. Jones right here in the suit, in the fedora. And it goes George Robinson performing at the Kingston Mines Club in Chicago, 1977. And he was born G.W. Roberson in Prairie, west of Aberdeen in 1934, according to state records. And during his blues career in Chicago, he recorded under the name Harmonica George, and he died in 1997. And this is a photo of him again. This is by Jim O'Neill. And this is, again, one of the many sites of the Mississippi Blues Trail. Lots of really historical information as it comes to these blues music pioneers. And again, that circuit, the blues circuit in Mississippi, was undeniable during that time of the early 20th century, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all of that. And yeah, very, very interesting history right there as it pertains to the blues trail. Let me continue down this way. In fact, let me check this out real quick. So this is also the Aberdeen Black History Trail. So a brief history of Aberdeen as it relates to Black history. Aberdeen was founded 1837, and by 1848 it was the county seat of Monroe County. It was the largest city in northeast Mississippi and a center for business, commerce, judicial affairs, and social gatherings. And it also became the federal district court in the Northern District in 1852. And as far as the commerce is concerned, the Tombigbee River allowed the steamboats to haul cotton away and bring in a worldwide array of goods for consumption. And after the war, many black people left rural areas and moved to town. And during this time, downtown was already established and enclaves formed down around the downtown nucleus with Baptistville on the north side, Methodist Town on the east side, and out south on the south side. And church membership in many cases dictated where people chose to live. And here's some images of the beautiful Aberdeen, Mississippi. Shiver School, Bearcats, Masonic Temple. And here's a map of downtown Aberdeen, or a map of the city of Aberdeen altogether. You know, High Street. You got Prairie Highway 382, which leads west to West Point. So yeah, this is Aberdeen. So Aberdeen, it was a lot of black people who built schools, churches, things of that nature. Is and set up a black enclave, a black Mecca, if you will, right here in Aberdeen. Again, another map of Aberdeen right here. The Blue Owl Home Decor and Gifts, Utah construction company. So they have a construction company based out of Aberdeen. There's a vacant storefront right here. And this is the historic Elkin Theater. The Elkin Theater, listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So it has that Art Deco architecture. So it's a prominent landmark right here in downtown Aberdeen. Community venue for entertainment, arts, indie movies, mainstream films, things like that. So flooring and ceramic and tile shop right here. Terry's Flooring. So it's a pretty big store, pretty big like department store that has a ton of supply of vinyl, flooring, linoleum, laminate, ceramic tile, carpet, all that good stuff. And it sits right across from City Hall. There goes City Hall right there for Aberdeen. So the City Hall looks like it's like a Greek revival type architecture. Now that building right there is the across the street is the Monroe County Chancery Building. Chancery Building was constructed in 1888 with that Victorian and Gothic and Romanesque architectural style that was so prominent during the late 19th century. So that building is now almost 140 years old. That's the Chancery Building. Not sure what this building is, but it's definitely a condemned building. It's boarded up in the windows. It's interesting to see. This actually looks like it's a fallout shelter. It could be used as a fallout shelter for sure. Definitely. If it already hasn't been used, if it already isn't being used for such purposes. There goes First Methodist Church over there. It's a couple of churches. Nice little house right there. The Welcome to Aberdeen sign. See the First Baptist Church. There goes the Abernathy Federal Building right there. I believe the post office is in that building as well. Made my way across the street. There's some really cool artwork that I would like to check out. Now, this is artwork by Katie Collins, a 4th grader here in Aberdeen, Mississippi. Shout out to Katie Collins. It's a nice little artwork celebrating Girl Scouting, 85 years in the USA. So it's an ode to Girl Scouting here in the US of A, 50th anniversary. It's really nice artwork. Sponsored by the United Way, it looks like. This one's called Share the Adventure. It has kids right there in unity, and you have the earth right there. And this artwork is by Ashley Fritch, also a 4th grader based out of Aberdeen, Mississippi. So these are Girl Scout troops who put together this nice artwork. So shout out to Ashley Fritch and Katie Collins. The bench. Closer up on the Chancery building. At the corner of Commerce and Hickory Street. City Hall. Want to come over here real quick, get this artwork. Now this artwork right here is by Jane Yo, 2022. Skopelos, Greece. I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say that that's probably a sister city to Aberdeen. But this is a painting of it right here. The landscape of Skopelos in Greece. It's really nice. You can see all of the houses and that type of architecture, the Greek architecture. And you can see what looks like a body of water right there. The ocean. Some flowers, some roses. It's a really nice landscape. And you can see what looks like a married couple right here. So it just depicts Greece, and really nice artwork. There goes the turtles right there. It's really nice artwork, but once again by Jane Yo. Shout out to Jane Yo. If I can find a social media, hopefully with Jane Yo's portfolio artwork, so check it out. That would be really nice. Really dope. And here's some more. These like these little newspaper things right here. $3 for the weekend edition of the Daily Journal, and 75 cents for a copy of the Monroe Journal, local newspaper right here in Aberdeen in Monroe County. And this used to be a restaurant. It's definitely abandoned now. It's no longer in operation, as you can see. So it's a lot of empty storefronts, but it's a few operational storefronts here in downtown Aberdeen. You have this bank right here, Bank Okolona, still operational. So yeah, Jonas and Blaylock, attorneys at law. So yeah, this is in a nutshell downtown Aberdeen. But there's one more stop I'm gonna make before we conclude this vlog, so stay tuned. Right here on Meridian Street, downtown Aberdeen, Mississippi. And would you look at here, another pretty cool piece of artwork right here. This one by Mary Haley, and it's basically a cat, and it has St. Jude on it, on its stocking hat right there. And it's just like, it looks like a cat, little baby cat, kitten, or cat. But Aberdeen St. Jude cat mural memorializes 6-year-old Mary Haley Lowe, who passed away December 18th, 1997, after battling Wilms tumor, which is a childhood cancer beginning in the kidneys. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis selected her original artwork for a widely distributed Christmas card design in 1997. Unfortunately, Mary Haley never knew she won St. Jude's Christmas card contest that year. Her cat drawing was reproduced by local artist Pat Burkholtz for a local mural in 1999 and refurbished in 2018 by local artist Arnie Anderson. Through the years, the cat mural has remained a lasting visual fixture near downtown Aberdeen's busiest intersection on Meridian and Commerce Street. So we're standing at the busiest intersection of downtown Aberdeen, and this is a really nice cat painting by Mary Haley that was reproduced by local artist Pat Burkholtz. And RIP to Mary Haley Lowe, who unfortunately lost her battle to cancer at the age of 6 in 1997. This is why, guys, you should definitely be grateful and cherish life. You know, be grateful that you have life, and you know, basically maximize on your life, maximize your potential, because you never know when it's your last day, and you never know what can happen. But yep, that used to be a furniture company right across the street, Aberdeen Furniture Company. So it's a few little businesses right here on Meridian Street. You have a Chinese spot across the street, and you have this another mural right here, says Paradise Alley. Really nice painting, butterfly and white rose right here, and this is by Patty Swan as well. And Paradise Alley has historical significance, as we're going to read right here. In the late 1800s, Paradise Alley served as a Saturday destination for African Americans by way of shopping and socializing. The era marked a period when black people were forced to enter businesses through separate entrances opposed to the front doors. Paradise Alley, however, offered a place for them to enjoy carefree experiences, interacting with friends and purchasing goods. This reimagination project to spotlight Paradise Alley's importance was secured thanks to a cultural tourism grant through the Mississippi Hills Heritage Alliance, and the Aberdeen Visitors Bureau also received local financial support from the Monroe County Board of Supervisor and First Federal Savings and Loans. So it's basically just a collaboration with these local boards to revitalize this area. And yeah, this is the alley right here where a lot of black people would gather during that time, when the late 1800s, when there was racial segregation and all that stuff. But yeah, man, this concludes the downtown Aberdeen portion of the vlog, but there's a little bit more, so stay tuned. Over here on West Commerce Street on the last trek of this Aberdeen, Mississippi vlog, and this is a marker of noted politician Reuben Davis, who was a criminal lawyer, judge, legislator, congressman of the U.S. and Confederacy, author of the book Recollections of Mississippi and Mississippians. Very interesting historical figure right here in Aberdeen, Mississippi. Reuben Davis. I mean, you could be a lawyer and an author all at the same time, and you got a lot of stuff going on. And check out this historical, I believe this might be his home. I believe this is Reuben Davis's historical home. But it's a huge mansion right there. And a lot of these had to be plantation houses. Like let's just stop the cap, man. Let's not cap, man. Let's keep it a buck, man. A lot of these have to have been plantation houses. Magnolias, which is where we're gonna come up, which is where we're coming up on shortly. Of course, the deep south. Get across the street and get this footage of the Magnolias. The Magnolias property donated to the city of Aberdeen by Clarence Day Jr. So Clarence Day donated this property over here. And that's what happens, you know. A lot of times what ends up happening is that these properties get donated to the city for uses like museums and things like that. But they were once, you know, private properties. And look at this house right here. You definitely couldn't tell me this wasn't a plantation, bro. Yeah, you can see the swing right here. And you can see right over here, this is definitely on the National Register of Historic Places. It's on the National Historic American Building Survey. Now it's currently used as like a wedding venue. You can, you know, come book this area as a wedding venue and whatnot. But they also, you can, you know, they give tours and whatnot of this particular building. It's really well kept grounds and stuff like that, that's open to the public. Of course, they got the little cannon over here. So it's one of the finest antebellum, that means pre-Civil War, architecture, buildings and structures, and it's one of the finest example of this type of architecture in the state of Mississippi. And this is the garden right here. Maybe it wasn't a plantation house, maybe it wasn't, I don't know, but I just have my doubts. And you got these trees wrapped around this pole right here, these branches. Yeah, the Magnolias. Now, it was built in 1850 by Dr. William Alfred Sykes. Dr. William Alfred Sykes built this in the late antebellum classic Greek revival architecture. So this is really cool. Really fine example of the Greek architecture. And this was the mid 19th century. So this was over a decade preceding the Civil War, the outbreak of the Civil War. So this is an extremely old building. We're talking at least 175 years old. So it'll be in another 25 years or so, it'll be a full 200 years. And we'll be celebrating its bicentennial. And hopefully by its sake, it's still standing. But they really do a good job of maintaining the property. So if they've done it for 175 years, why can't it stand for another 25, you know? Which brings me to the conclusion of this vlog. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to this historic walking vlog of Aberdeen, Mississippi. Thanks again for tuning in from Aberdeen. Make sure you hit that like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell. And once you hit the bell, make sure you select all. That way you get notified every time I drop a new vlog. With that in mind, good people, thanks again for tuning in, and see you on the next one. Peace.